That's Bloomberg. Okay.
I got the Reuters one. I'll throw that in.
All right.
That's probably worth a.
Do you want to drop one of the
discussion? Yeah.
That's worth a discussion. Well, what was the weaker one? One of those last two. TiVo or screen time. You guys.
I say drop TiVo.
Yeah. TiVo's really more of a quick hit. I put it in because I have things I can say.
Yeah.
But it's not as wide ranging. Okay. So I'm doing a little editorial reorder here, Roger, and it's going to mess up your times.
Oh, okay.
So just give me 1 second.
All right. Stream started. Just so everyone knows.
Oh, hi, Stream.
Hey, Stream. How's it going? Well, it's real foggy out here at the beach today, which is not a bad thing.
Is it still foggy right now? Like overcast?
Yeah. Sun never came out. And not cold, but sort of, it's starting to feel slightly wintry, which is nice.
Nice times now, Roger.
All right. Time a toad.
Be right back.
You guys carry on. I'm going to write this up.
You got it.
So, Justin, about your beard.
Yeah.
No, nothing. Just trying to start up a conversation about your beard.
Yeah, my beard. I'm thinking about taking it down. I got a wedding next weekend, so I'm due for a little bit of a haircut and a beard trim, but I'm thinking about going fairly short, like having the reign of the big, the mountain man beard kind of taken down to a respectable level.
Yeah, is that still like a thing? The big bushy.
Hey, Roger, 2 minutes on that Tesla, I think, because there's not much known quite yet.
Got it.
No, it's pretty much just it happened, and it happened for the reason that you would assume it happened, and that was rumored for it to have happened.
Yeah, and we don't even have a copy of the actual.
I got it.
The actual complaint.
Yeah, the United States District Court, Southern District of New York.
Do you have a copy, like the actual filing?
Like, yeah, I can send here. I'll put it in the.
Yeah, put that in the Slack.
It's a script in the CNBC.
Awesome, good job, CNBC. Scooped up Reuters.
CNBC is kind of on it lately.
Hey.
Wait, we're just. Oh, there it is. All right, I'm gonna put this in.
All right.
Lynn.
Tom, how's the house besides the studio?
Pretty great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like trying to.
Sorry. Yeah.
At the same time.
Making conversation.
That's okay.
Tell me something real casual.
Well, one thing I love about the house is it's a great place to read the filing in the United States District Court about the SEC.
Perfect.
Regarding Elon Musk.
Seems like you got the right house.
No, yesterday I had the electrician over and fixed an outlet that had gone bad, and we hooked up our lights. We have these Edison lights in the backyard, and so we sat out there and had a little glass of wine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Ultimately, same instrument on August 7th regarding taking Twitter falsely indicated.
4% of Elon Musk's.
All right. By engaging in conduct alleged in this complaint, Musk violated, and unless restrained and enjoined, will violate again. It says. All right.
I will kill again.
Ms. Lane, would you care to read the opening statement?
I would.
On line 3. Okay.
I would.
Let's go in 25.
Okay.
And Justin, you ready?
I'm ready to roll.
All right. 15 seconds. 15 seconds to read your script. Here we go. And it's going to be fun. I'm going to love it. You're going to love it. Everybody's going to love it. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks to everyone who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, September 27th, 2018. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Oakland, California, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And from the fringes of the LA Empire, I'm Roger Chang.
We have got a little breaking news to talk about regarding Tesla. We're going to get into speculation about what all we think Amazon's up to with retail as they go and venture out beyond just bookstores. But let's start with a few tech things you should know.
That reprieve for classic Skype is about to end. Microsoft says it will stop supporting Skype 7.0 on the desktop November 1st and on mobile starting on November 15th. It will still be usable for a little while. That's the company's terms. After that, according to an editor's note on the blog.
Estonia's police and border guard board is requiring ID card producer Gemalto to pay a €152 million penalty after 700,000 ID cards were found to have generated the card's code keys in a way that they could be stolen. Private codes should be generated on the card's chip to ensure security.
And security researchers at Duo discovered a vulnerability in the Apple interface used to enroll Apple devices in mobile device management systems, or MDMs, something you use in the enterprise. When you want to have a bunch of company iPhones all enrolled at the same time, you can roll out your custom apps, etc. The researchers spoofed serial numbers of enrolled devices to connect malicious devices. They were pretending to be the enrolled devices. And then they were able to do all kinds of stuff. Look at company mail, etc. Gain basically trusted access. Apple's device enrollment protocol supports authentication, but it doesn't require it. So if you make it happen, then you wouldn't be vulnerable to this. But since Apple doesn't force you to, a company might not have it turned on. The researchers warn that serial numbers alone should not be relied on to let devices join corporate networks. All right, let's talk about this breaking news, Justin.
Yes, the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission has filed a lawsuit on Thursday against Tesla CEO Elon Musk, alleging securities fraud. The lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court in Manhattan. Happened for the reason that you think. Going private at 420, funding secured. Turns out that is fraud in the eyes.
Yeah, and the case says, in truth and in fact, Musk had not even discussed, much less confirmed, key deal terms, including price, with any potential funding source. So coming in hard with this filing. They're not saying like, well, this kind of went over the line. They're saying this was fraud, plain and simple. Now it's up to a court to decide if they're right with those claims, but this is not a tepid response.
No, it is not. Musk has explained that whole fiasco, which obviously did not happen, that there were advanced talks with the Saudi Arabian Wealth Fund, for which I assume, considering how much money they're sitting on, probably felt that there was not going to be much of a haggling at the price that he set, but still, rules are rules, and this is what the SEC is going to sue him for.
Yeah, and Musk still believes that what he said wasn't false. He's like, yeah, no, I had it mostly arranged, and this is why you have courts. There's a difference between what you intend and what people read. Anybody who studies semiotics, knows it as signed, signal, and signified. What Musk may have meant doesn't matter. It's what people thought he meant when they read his statements. And it makes a pretty compelling case in this filing that what he said was in fact misleading.
An Australian teenager who hacked Apple systems over several months and downloaded sensitive data has avoided jail time. Now, the adult was 16 years old at the time that the hacking began, so was a minor at the time, accessed Apple's internal systems and copied around a terabyte of data and authentication keys, a magistrate told a children's court in Australia. Now, Apple contacted the FBI and Australian police, subsequently raided his home. Apple then said the customer's personal data, that customer's personal data was not compromised, and that staff had discovered the unauthorized access, contained it, and reported it to law enforcement.
This is the hacky hack kid, right? That was the
Yes.
the name of the folder that he stored stuff in. I mean,
Well, and the whole, his defense attorney, sort of said like he was a child. He's just like really into Apple and was like so excited about Apple that he, wanted to see how far he could get, which is not necessarily false, but the fact that he was a minor at the time is working in his favor very much so.
this is pure 80s style hacking. This is not malicious hacking. This is hacking. I'm comfortable calling this hacking because even though he broke the law, he didn't mean to hurt anyone. He wasn't out to leak this stuff, sell this stuff. And I'm not trying to justify it or say he shouldn't, pay for the crime or whatever. But this is someone who really just wanted to see what he could do. And once he got in, kind of got high on the like, man, I'm kind of like an Apple employee right now. How cool is that? I understand that is what I'm saying.
Well, this is the happy ending, right? Rules are rules. You violate the law, you do need to face repercussions. But like you said, it's not like he immediately went to some board where he was trying to sell the information. As far as all available law enforcement investigation into this can turn up, this was him trying to prove his hacking prowess. I'm glad he's avoiding jail time for that crime.
Yeah, we don't know his name. It's protected by Australian law, but there would be a free hacky hack kid campaign if he went to jail. And this is a better way to treat it.
Also, Apple maybe hire him. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, folks, this is a big story today. If an advertiser has legitimate info about you, Facebook lets that advertiser target people who list that info in Facebook. So, for example, you've given your phone number to the plumber, and the plumber has a list of phone numbers of his clients and goes to Facebook and says, hey, I want to advertise a 20% coupon to everybody who has this phone number. So far, so good. But Facebook only knows your phone number, by your admission, if it's in your profile info, which some people do that. Not everybody does, but some people do that. However, Facebook also will use info you provided for security reasons and info that other people have about you in their contacts that maybe you never gave Facebook. In the first case, you're giving info for a single and important purpose, security, and it's being targeted to you, to advertise to you. In the other case, you gave it to a friend and you don't have any control over it being used to target you. And in fact, Facebook claims it would be illegal to give you control because that's information in somebody else's profile. Giridhari Venkadari, Pyotr Sapiensky, and Alan Mislove of Northeastern University, along with Elena Lucarini of Princeton University, tested this thoroughly and report their findings in a paper published in the Proceedings on Privacy Enhancing Technologies. So this isn't a BuzzFeed report, has a source who says we tried it out rigorously using controlled circumstances where we only knew this phone number would show up if it was causing one of these things to happen. A Facebook spokesperson said, we use the information people provide to offer a more personalized experience, including showing more relevant ads, and users can, and I'll add should, use something besides a phone number for two-factor authentication if they wish.
Well, okay, so the fact that Facebook is doing this, once Facebook's statement is like, we're not denying that this is happening, but here's why we're doing it, and it's because it's for the greater good of our users and data in general. Okay, well, so how should they have done this differently? Should they have spelled out a little bit more clearly? Yeah, if you do like 2FA for, with a phone number or something like that, or you give this information to a friend, this might end up in an advertiser's territory and you didn't know about it. I mean, how could they have
don't use it,
communicated it differently?
Don't use it.
No.
Period. When I'm giving a phone number for a security purpose, that is the only reason to use that phone number. That is it. It's for security only, nothing else.
Well, okay, so but so my question stands is Facebook should have said this is going to be used in a different way. Are you okay with this? They didn't.
At the very least, if they're going to do it anyway, they should have told you. Yeah.
When you set up 2FA, which is another step that people have to take, and that there are many ways that you can do 2FA on Facebook. One of them is with your phone number, that they should have some sort of little checkbox that lets you know, hey, I heretofore understand that this will be used to target relevant or to
But
make
honestly, that will
more
dissuade
relevant that experience.
that will dissuade people from
my thing
setting
to
up
you,
security. Yeah.
Here's my thing to you though. Yes, you can complain ad nauseum why it does not benefit the scorpion to sting the frog in the middle of the pond. But
What
this
in the
is what
heck?
Facebook's
I think this is different though. This is playing with security. It's one thing to say like, "Hey, we're Facebook. Of course, we're going to advertise to you." And it's another thing to actually use something that requires trust. Like this is for security for a business purpose. That's for me well over the line.
And even stuff as silly as like, what's your birthday? Don't worry, we won't post this anywhere. It will never go to your news feed. It's just, it's just for us to know that
if
you're,
it's going into the profile, that's different. Like that's like, hey, you're giving this stuff in exchange for this. But security information should be firewalled for multiple reasons.
So you're telling me I shouldn't be targeted ads because I knew my mother's maiden name? Like I shouldn't be getting ads for doilies about like my mom's maiden name is.
If they do the backup security questions are stupid anyway. But if they're like, what was your first pet? Yeah, they shouldn't be targeting you on your first pet. They shouldn't be using that to data mine you.
Yeah, that's
it shouldn't be. Havoc the fish forever.
Also, the real quickly, the other one is more nefarious, where it's like I have no control over. I gave Justin my phone number, right? Justin uploads his contacts to Facebook without asking me. Why should he? He was using it to make it easier to use Facebook, and now Facebook is targeting me with that information, which I have no control over. And they tell me we can't give you control over it. That one gets me too.
The problem that Facebook faces is that as people learn more about how they make money and learn more about ad targeting, I believe the more they will be freaked out about it. And on these edge cases where, yes, there is a good moral debate, I think these are the matches that light a much larger fire that an educated a user base can react to.
And I don't think the security one's a moral debate, but we could go on forever about that.
Sure. We just had a moral debate. All right, moving on. A research study, the Lancet Child and Adolescent Health Journal, found that children aged 8 to 11 who limit recreational use of screens for less than 2 hours a day performed better in tests of mental ability. The study only found a correlation that indicates further study is needed to discover causes and differentiate among type of recreational screen use. There was some indication that video games and educational videos might have cognitive benefits. The study surveyed 45,000?
4,500.
4,500 children with a questionnaire and administered cognitive tests.
So really, it's not that the screen time is harmful. It's that too much screen time is seeming to be harmful, and that's actually and that's an interesting thing. It's like, well, I mean, none of us are children, but I mean, even as adults, I think that there's a lot of merit to the idea. Sorry, not to be punny, but there's a lot to take away from the idea of, yes, having this information is helpful. Yes, gaming can be, good for your cognitive skills, but too much of it may take away from other things.
Well, and it's not just too much, it's the type, right? In fact, that what they found was that video games might actually have cognitive benefits. And that's the other thing is this is a study that found a correlation. They're not saying any of it means anything yet. They're saying this indicates that maybe you should limit screen time if you want to be safe, and we should proceed with more studies and more rigorous studies to figure out exactly what all of this means. But at the very least, it's that outside of educational stuff, limiting screen time probably on the safe side of things.
I also wonder how much of this is also a leading indicator of a relationship between parents or children being acknowledged that larger screen time could often also mean that they're not being engaged by their family, that at least on the level of somebody that does not have that kind of screen time. So I think that this is an interesting data point. But I do wonder what going to learn the fuller picture of.
Yeah, the indications that video games and educational videos might have cognitive benefits would be that differentiator. Like, is it just that they're using a screen, or is it what they're doing on it?
As the one parent here, I will say that screen time is always on the top of my mind, and the reasons for it are like a multitude of reasons, right? If your babysitter's out and you gotta do work with your kid, you're gonna give your kid a tablet to keep them busy while you're doing work. If they're sick from school and can't go to school, can't engage with other kids, teachers, you're going to give them a tablet or something to keep them busy in the same way that you used to babysit your kids with TVs. It's not an ideal situation, but is one of a multitude of things that parents will do in order to manage the situation as best they can.
Consumer Reports is recommending Microsoft Surface PCs after last year not recommending them because of what it considered poor predicted reliability in comparison with laptops from other brands. So, tables have turned. The Surface Pro, the 2017 model, the Surface Laptop, and the Surface Book 2 do score well enough to be recommended, Consumer Reports now says. However, the Surface Go continued to get docked for poor performance and battery life.
I think you meant the surfaces have been turned.
The Surfi. Is
that it? I mean, yeah, this is good news. I actually really liked my Surface Book, and I remember when Paul Thurrott was out there complaining about it being buggy because there were some problems with USB. There were problems with device drivers and blue screens of death. I just never really ran into them that often. Not saying I never ran into them. I can't imagine if it's even more reliable than that. This is maybe I should go back and try out a Surface Book 2 because I really liked the Surface Book as it was, and it was a little slow and the power fan ran too often and stuff like that. So this is great news for Microsoft.
Sure. I think obviously there is a place for the Surface line for a lot of people that are fully plugged into a PC ecosystem, and I'm glad that Consumer Reports is recommending them. However, I don't know. I know that you have, Tom, you know this probably more than anybody as somebody who has been at this tech news game for a very long time. Consumer Reports, more or less news stories in the last 5 years about them not recommending stuff than previous 5 years, or the same.
That's a good question. I wouldn't want to answer it without taking a look. The perception is very much what you're hinting at with your question, is that there are more of them. But I don't know if that's just because we have more technology devices now. And so we're seeing those stories crop up as technology becomes more mainstream. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right. Amazon announced the Amazon 4-star store, which honestly to me sounds like it ought to be like a donut shop or a restaurant.
Well, and also like, wouldn't it be a 5-star? Well, anyway.
Amazon 4-star noodles.
Right. It's like 4-star meaning not 5-star.
Not 5-star. I know. There's that aspect too, right? Like, so it's the stuff that's okay. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're going to have a 5-star corner. Like, totally. You have to be this tall to ride.
And I guess the average is well above 4 of the products. But let me get to the point of the store. It's opening in New York, and nothing below 4 stars rated on Amazon gets in the store unless it's a top seller or it's new and trending on Amazon. They'll make some exceptions in those cases, but most of those are usually 4 stars as well. Stores open 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sundays. It's on Spring Street in Soho. Shoppers who are Prime members will pay the Amazon.com price for their purchases. If you're not a Prime member, though, you pay list price, which is almost always more expensive, although they'll sign you up to be a Prime member right there in the store. So there you go. It's a very expensive loss leader to get you to sign up for Amazon Prime. But yeah, the idea is like, we know these are the things New Yorkers are buying. So we're going to have a section on like hot trending items in New York. We know that these are just totally good items overall on the Amazon store. So we're going to stock that stuff. It makes sense from that end going in. Does it make sense as a shopper as to why you decide to go into this store?
Well, you mentioned Spring Street in Soho, Tom, and which is anybody who hasn't been to Manhattan, it's a huge shopping area. There's, all the boutiques are down in Soho. So the idea that you would get a lot of foot traffic into the store, that's part of it. if you can convert a lot of people who are not Prime members to being Prime members because they're going to get a discount because they're already there, and they want to buy this item that's, 4 stars or, new and trendy or whatever. Okay, that's fine. The loss leader part of it is real, but Amazon's got the money. So it seems to me that Amazon is saying, all right, let's put a store in a huge traffic area and see how many people we can convert into Prime members.
I am here for every inch of this gimmickry because that's what I think it is. The idea of the 4-star thing is something that is just, it's a conversation starter. It implies, oh, this is quality. This isn't just Amazon trying to put stuff in there. It also gets away from, we talked earlier about Facebook and the idea of a user base understanding exactly how ads get targeted to you. It leads away from Amazon saying, we know what you want. Come and buy it from us, which is a creepier kind of initial selling point. So it just says, look, we know quality. Enough people have bought all these things that your fellow
other humans like you.
Yeah, right.
That they have decided that this is it. We have long talked about what an Amazon retail play was, and we began to see it with the bookstores. We obviously saw a gigantic purchase in Whole Foods, and we have another story about that we can get to in a second. But I think that Amazon should get creative with stuff like this. And instead of going headlong into, now here's the Amazon does Best Buy thing, then do fun ideas like this. I think that it is a great idea for Amazon.
It's the boutique shop. As soon as Sarah used those words, it all fell into place for me. And folks who haven't been to Spring Street like sections, which exist in most major cities. I've seen it in St. Louis and I've seen it in Detroit. It's not just a New York thing. There are those shops that just have lots of cool, funky items, and they'll have a little kitchen section, and they'll have a little pets section, and it's, lots of clothes, nifty clothes, and French pillows that are way over expensive. This is that store. This is Amazon's version of that store. Like, here's cute, cool, funky items that usually are curated by a person who runs the store who has great taste. In this case, it's curated by Amazon employees who are looking at the incredibly long list of 4-star and above items and picking stuff. And by the way, there's a little red herring going on out there where people are like, oh, so if I game the system, I can get in the store. Granted, they are not going to pick some, just because you get 4 stars or above doesn't mean you get in the store. They're going to be picking what goes in there.
Although, if it did match what they wanted to sell and they could get it in quantity, which is another reason, then it gives them the ability to take advantage of a viral kind of moment like that.
Sure. So what else before we move on? What else could they do? So they've got a boutique shop, they've got a bookstore, they've got a grocery store and Whole Foods.
Well, they have multiple grocery stores, right?
Amazon Go.
They're corners.
Amazon Go, right? Yeah.
This whole idea of having a brick and mortar store in in an area of New York where you got a lot of tourists, you got a lot of foot traffic, you got a lot of people who at least come in and browse. Well, you can't have all of Amazon's store in there. Is it going to be a grocery store? Well, no, that doesn't really make sense either, right? Because most people are, they're trying to buy, stuff, right? Not groceries. So it makes sense that Amazon was like, okay, well, how do we limit this to something that we could put into a store that makes sense? We'll call it the 4-star store. It's all the stuff that's really popular on Amazon, which is kind of funny because Amazon, the whole idea is that it's like what's popular for Justin or Tom might not be popular for me, and that's fine. And that's how Amazon works really well. But the best of the best.
Well, and they're also doing these items are often purchased together in store.
Yeah, that too.
So you can pick them up as a bundle. I think a hardware store would be a good play for them.
Oh, you want to know what? I was actually thinking.
And that's probably a lot of the 4-star stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking office supplies. It's like a lot of the essential stuff that they do their own version of, because you wouldn't have to have a ton of foot space, unlike a Office Max or a whatever. Like, you could literally just have a little like, hey, what do I need? Gigantic reams of paper. Come on over, pick it up in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Clothing shop. They have a lot of Amazon Basics clothing. Real quickly, before we move on, Gizmodo obtained a 45-minute video sent from Amazon to Whole Foods team leaders advising them how to combat union organization, saying our business model is built upon speed, innovation, and customer obsession, things that are generally not associated with unions.
Man, They might have a point, but
So-
you're gonna upset some people by saying
Don't
so.
expect there to be union shops in any of these retail outlets.
Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. It's our union of sorts, but we're, I don't know.
Please
our
don't
rules are different.
strike.
Don't strike. Just keep submitting stories and voting on others at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. In fact, you don't have to choose between the two. You can hang on both places. Facebook.com/groups/Daily Tech News Show. Go
And
there.
email us. Do the emails, and Sarah will read one like this one.
Correct. We read an email from Rohan yesterday. I wasn't on the show, but said Google was missing out on the smart home market by focusing on the tech instead of the functionality. In response, Eric wrote in today and said, I also think that Google's missing an opportunity on a smart home product I would love to see. They're in a unique position to create it. Google makes the Nest Protect smoke detector, a mesh Wi-Fi system, and a smart assistant. I'd love to see these three things combined into one product. One device you could mount on the ceiling in most rooms. It would give you a house-wide smoke detection, mesh Wi-Fi, and smart assistant, especially if Google could find a way to price this device in the range of $200 to $250.
I like this idea. The voice assistant kind of goes without saying with all this smart stuff, and definitely would need to be included. But having smoke detector, carbon monoxide detectors that are also mesh Wi-Fi repeaters. I don't know if there's logistical reasons why you couldn't do that, but that makes so much sense to me. If my Eros were also carbon monoxide detectors, that just saves me a few outlets and stuff, that batteries I'd have to change and stuff. Love this.
I do too. Thank you very much, Eric, for the follow-up. And thank you also to Justin Robert Young for being with us this fine Thursday. Justin, what has been going on with you?
I don't know if everybody's noticed, but there's a big political brouhaha today. And
What?
And every
all
day.
about it.
You don't say.
Yeah, in my free political newsletter. You can get that at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. This would also be a good time to subscribe to my politics podcast, Politics. All you got to do is go to your podcatcher or pod place of choice and search for politics. If you see a little bird on it, then that's me. And we're going to have a little bonus episode that'll go up today with my reaction to both sides of the hearing and my thought on whether or not we will have a new Supreme Court justice over the next few days. Go ahead and check it out.
So yesterday, I thanked everyone for pushing us up above the mark of having one more patron than last month, and said, let's see how many more we can have. And we immediately lost 5 people. So maybe I should just project more panic. We are still one more patron than last month, but will it last? We have to sustain it for 3 more days. Anyway, there's lots of cool reasons to support us directly. Please explore them at patreon.com/DTNS. And don't forget, I'm going to be at the Outlier Podcast Festival September 30th at 1 p.m. in Los Angeles, doing a workshop on preparing content for your podcast. Check it out at outliercs.com. That's OUTLIERCS.com.
We love your feedback. Our email address is a great way to give us feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. If you can join us live, it's a lot of fun. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
It's our September roundtable tomorrow. We're going to be talking hardware with Ryan Shrout, Patrick Norton, and Len Peralta will be there too. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I don't know what happened,
What do you mean?
but that show was only 28 minutes and 49 seconds long.
Wait,
we started
really?
right on time.
I
and
didn't.
ended right at
No,
2.
I know. I didn't even think about it till just now when I pressed the stop button.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I thought we went long.
yeah, I kind of thought so too.
Yeah, I thought we were right on time.
I thought so too. If anything, I thought we were like 31, 32, not like super long, but
Yeah, because I thought the Facebook, the red light was on for Facebook for a while.
Yeah, I know.
You guys went like 2.5 minutes over on that.
I know. Oh well.
And then we barely, we didn't really get to touch on the
Time
union.
flies when you're having fun.
Magnets, how do
Maybe.
they work?
Maybe we've bent space
That
time.
must be probably it.
Time.
Isn't that like the standard sci-fi trope?
It's about time.
We're outside of space time.
I've become
Elon
unstuck
Musk's
in time.
story is, I don't know what to make of it.
Angela Lansbury? I'm not
Wait.
hearing very well. What?
Elon Musk.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm not reading a story about Angela Lansbury, but I hope she's doing great.
I'm sure she is.
No, I'm just.
I went into a little deep dive about Angela Lansbury not too long ago.
Relationship with security. Wow.
In San Francisco
Oh yeah.
within the last like 3 years. Like that lady is killing it.
No, she is still up and about doing shows and doing events and things. It's amazing. And she's 90 something.
Let's see. Born 92 years old.
92. Well,
She's up there with Betty White and someone who's seen how many, at least three generations of actors.
now when Murder, She Wrote was on the air for the first time, were we all watching it?
Yeah.
My mother was.
I never did. It was a little too old for me.
I didn't seek it out, but it was being watched, and I was always interested when it was.
I don't mean old. Just like it was adult in a way where I was like,
I watched it because my mom watched it.
Yeah, that's
It was
kind of
part of the that
Dad
and the
watched
Matlock Power Hours.
Matlock, right? Yeah.
Another, aged person who solved crimes.
Well, okay, so it was like Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, L.A. Law. Was that the same kind of time period?
I would say so, yeah. So Murder, She Wrote airs from 1984 to 1996.
Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness. Wow, that's quite a run. Okay.
But then 1997, she's just been at the theater.
Well, Angela, I salute you.
Her most recently, in December 2017, Lansbury took the role of Aunt March in the BBC television episode miniseries Little Women.
Oh, Little Women.
Oh, also, she's in the new Mary Poppins Returns.
She's not.
with Dick Van Dyke, who's also in it.
What was the Disney movie she was?
What is she? Who is she? She's not Mary Poppins.
Wait a minute. Did she reprise
Emily
her
Blunt
character
is-
from Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
Oh my God, I'm here for that. That was my favorite.
Come here, buddy.
That would be great if she played that same character.
Number one, how Bedknobs and Broomsticks has not been rebooted just so you can do a family-friendly, everyone can get excited about magical suits of armor punching a Nazi in a throat. Real scene from Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yep.
The best.
I always think of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It wasn't the first time I saw it, but when we visited my Uncle Harold in Alabama after he moved from Tennessee, the first thing we did when we got there is they put us down in his basement because he had cable television. And they're like, here, we're going to be doing adult things upstairs. You just watch the cable television. And we watched Bedknobs and Broomsticks on WTBS, the superstation.
Oh, holy crap. A stage musical adaptation of Bedknobs and Broomsticks is set to debut in 2019.
That's
nice.
the first step. And then it becomes a movie out of that.
I just got
Again,
very
another
excited
movie.
about this. You don't
You're
even
on
know
your
what
way.
that is. You don't even know what that is.
When I say adult things, I'm not trying to be euphemistic. I just
They were
don't-
like, you're not talking about NC-17 things.
Yeah, I don't
Just
know what they were doing.
Things that kids
Yeah.
don't do.
Probably talking about their 401.
Playing bridge.
their
If you hear any
pensions.
loud
playing
noises,
canasta or
don't
something.
come upstairs.
No, it wasn't like that. That's what I'm trying to not say.
They were balancing their checkbooks.
No, they just wanted to be able to curse. They wanted to be able to
Probably.
have
Cursing
conversations.
while balancing their checkbooks.
They were
and
probably
playing gin rummy.
sharing stories about your family they didn't want you to know.
Something like that. Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, isn't that the truth?
You know,
You know,
cousin Wade. Blah blah blah.
Well,
you don't have a
get,
cousin
you get to
Wade.
a certain age, and like everyone's like,
I
"Oh,
didn't.
you didn't know that cousin Wade was like, had gone to prison several times." You're like,
Did you realize cousin Wade is your uncle? Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
But he's younger than me. Dun dun dun.
Hey Roger, what's the title of the show?
Dun dun dun. Hacky make hack hack.
"Well, hold on, let me look. Let me look at Showbot."
There's also four-star store is good enough.
Good enough. Good enough for Amazon? It's good enough for me.
No spamming the reviews here. and Amazon's 4-star loss leader. No?
Make a 4-star.
Hi,
You don't
buddy.
like this?
No, I just tell me what it is. What is
All right,
it?
Amazon's 4-star loss leader.
I like it.
I like it.
Sounds
All
like
right.
something from Star Search.
Oh, Star Search.
So Bed Knobs and Broomsticks currently unavailable to stream, but you
Hmm.
can purchase it from Amazon, Apple, or Google, and rent it from YouTube and Sony. I would take a guess that that's probably going to be on the Disney thing when they launch it. Right?
Oh yeah.
Justin, did we talk about Floribama Shore before? And are you watching it or no?
I have not watched Floribama Shore,
Damn it.
but
Darn it. Sorry.
is it good?
No. Oh, no. No. But it's so bad that I want to talk about it with somebody I know Tom and Roger are going to watch.
Well, so I only know about that show because it was parodied on SNL. Before that point, I did not realize it was an actual show.
So here's the funny thing about the show. It's an MTV show, right? And the idea of Floribama is like it's, the panhandle of Florida, which is, Tom mentioned Alabama earlier, so it was in my mind. And it's basically Panama City people partying. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, and it's a real world type of thing where a bunch of strangers are now living in a house and getting to know each other. But like, they all really love each other in a way that I find really sort of adorable and endearing, even though the entire show is about like, let's go party and get drunk, night after night, where that's, we've done this show a million times, but I kind of love these people.
That was kind of always the secret sauce with Jersey Shore, right? Is that
exactly? Yes, that you actually you start sort of getting attached to the fact that they really do seem like they're friends.
it was funny because I was reading an oral history of the original seasons of Jersey Shore, and which either the producer or one of the cast made mention that the show really comes together because it's one thing, like the debauchery is the debauchery, and that's what everybody's going to talk about. But for people to come back, they're unsympathetic unless you have those scenes on Sunday when they all cook dinner together, and
right. And they say we're not friends, we're family.
Yeah, and then everyone's kind of half hungover, and at some point somebody says like, "Hey, bro, look, I really wasn't. I didn't mean it, bro. You're my family, bro." Like, and that's it. Like, it makes sense.
Pass the pasta. Yeah. Yes.
Honestly, it's the same reason I enjoy Terrace House.
Right.
Totally different in every other way, right? They don't scream at each other. It's always like, you do not have enough goals. You're making me cry. It's a totally different dynamic, but it is that you get the feeling that these people really care about each other.
Yeah.
And they get really sad when one of them leaves the house and they all like stand around and cry and throw goodbye parties. And,
I mean, and let me, again, not to sugarcoat it. Floribama Shore is not a good show. It is not. It is exactly what you think it's going to be, but it's somehow endearing in a way where I'm like, I kind of want to, I like these people.
This is what my one instructor at the community college I went to talked about, like television production, whatever you do, documentary, scripted drama, reality show, it's got to have heart. It has to have that one hook that makes you emotionally connected to whatever happens on the screen.
Well, and I think, a lot of us who have worked on shows in the past that are like not reality shows, but shows that are based on people's real personalities, we understand the value of that.
It's
that there is something to that, not only for the people on the show, but for the people off of the show who say, "I think I know you, and I like that."
Well, those shows are you're always modeling either who you are and who your friends are, or if you've ever known somebody like that, if there's ever been a time in your life where these kind of things are there, and nobody wants to remember the ugly moments. They want to remember, they want, you want to think good about these people. You want to, if you're modeling them on yourself, which is just human behavior, then you want them to be like, oh, this is like that fun, crazy time that like now that either I'm going through it now, or I can relate to it in the past, where it's like, oh, okay. But I would like friends like that. If they all came together and said, bro, we're family, bro. You know that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, flawed people are just generally a lot more, I wouldn't say charismatic, but a lot more
Flawed
engaging.
people, otherwise known as people.
Everybody.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, for the longest time,
Well, tortured artists, you
Like,
could go on
heroes
about
were
that.
always, well, they might have had their flaws. They were just, there was a set standard. They could never fall off the pedestal of being a hero. And then, over time, all the flaws are what made the hero instead of despite them. And so it's a very interesting, thing I see about, the way people look up or look at people.
Speaking of
Floribama.
Going away from Floribama Shore for a second. Although I can't wait to go to Panama City one day. Wow,
It still sounds
so
like a
fun.
honky tonk like bar you would go to during.
Sarah, you can wait. No, right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, I'll get there someday.
One day.
But I did Anthony Bourdain, who's like one of my like absolute like just TV heroes times 1,000. I had never seen the Kenya episode of Parts Unknown, and I don't know if any of you have. But he had it was another CNN host or somebody who does.
Was that the W. Camus Bell episode?
It was, yes, thank you. And I just hadn't seen it. And it is very moving. Really, like if you like, knowing about Kenya and safaris and Nairobi and the whole thing, but it is really, I don't know. I was quite moved by it. I watched it yesterday. And if anyone hasn't seen it and likes that sort of content, I would highly recommend it.
I just wrapped up the second season of Glow last night.
And
I love the show. It's
so
great.
good. I know.
This
so
is the
fun.
thing. I watched Glow as a kid when it was on Saturday morning TV, and then made its slow trek to like 1 a.m. In the morning, for some reason. But I love it. It's just like, it's a mixture of many things, but it's what you were saying. It's like you feel connected to all the cast members in some facet. And because I'm of that era, of that generation, a lot of the stuff that they do probably resonates more with me than, say, someone who might have missed it or only comes from it looking back at it as straight as solely as history, instead of like, oh, it's something you lived through.
Well, and I didn't realize that it was even based on anything. I mean, it could be total fiction as far as I'm concerned, and I still think it's a great show.
It's funny because I see all the characters, and it's a dramatization of the actual Glow series that was done in the 80s. For anyone who doesn't know, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It was a very kitschy wrestling show that they did with all female cast of wrestlers. One of the things, besides that they were all women, one of the things that they did was a hook was before the match, all the contestants would rap before. So if there are two people facing off, each one would give their kind of really bad musical rap before they got in the ring. And then you would have like this corny announcer who was also, I found out, was the producer of the show, would do all these things or say all these things in a very tongue-in-cheek manner. So everything was very lighthearted. Even though, if you notice, the audience was like 99% like a bunch of male guys just sitting around.
Yeah. So,
well, when you call something Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, it's probably not going to be a lot of ladies.
No. I'll add this one thing. One of my mom's waitresses loved that show. She said, I love it more than the WWF, back when it was WWF, because I think the women are more real. I think they're more into wrestling than the guys are. And that was why she liked it.
But Roger, have you seen the doc on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen it. It's great with Mount Fiji. That kind of secondary story they do into it.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. And by the way, if you haven't ever seen the original Glow, there's episodes on YouTube that are, there's a lot. I mean, I don't want to bore everybody about wrestling storytelling, my grand unifying theory on it, but I think there's a lot of stuff that they did in Glow to cover up for the fact that the women were by and large actresses and stunt women and were not trained wrestlers, or we're learning, we're coming up to speed very quickly on it, that I think is brilliant and probably could be employed in a more modern context. But that show is great, and I have really been like the sexual harassment subplot of that season, of the second season, and specifically who falls down on whose side, and then a revelation that I won't give toward the end, of two characters kind of having a moment and the fallout from it. Like it's something that's like really stuck with me, is like one of my favorite things that I've watched on television this year. I will have a hard time thinking of a season of television that I thought was as well told and fun and true to itself as Glow season 2 was.
Yeah, you know what's amazing is I was surprised at how the utter lack of cynicism in the characters, like, of themselves. There was no kind of duplicitous nature where someone comes out at the end of the season, aha, I'm the villain kind of thing. It's a very heartwarming story, and I was really impressed at how well not just the story was told, but the pacing and the characterizations were all really just, fantastic.
Yeah, there are very few mustache twirling villains. There's really only one that is there briefly. But other than that, even the characters that are acting badly, and there are several, they are always complex. Even if they're never forgiven by the story, they are explained by the story. And I think that's really all you can ask for.
Do you have a favorite episode of your year? Let us know if you're a video user by email, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. If you're an audio user, stick around. There's more to come.
More Glow.